Hello, everybody, and welcome back to RFL Live. This is episode 3 of effectively the RFL podcast. We're going to be reviewing round 2 for Tier 1 and Tier 2, and we're also going to be previewing round 3 at China. We raced at Bahrain this weekend, both tiers, and we had some amazing races, and today we're going to be going over them. I'm joined by Morgs.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by I was about to say new guest, but it's not. A new member of our podcast team, Lewis.
Yes, hello. Not to be confused with BMG Lewis.
Yes,
I'm the back marker. Yeah.
the not so quick one. We'll get right into it, I suppose. So, obviously, R8, actually, I think that's probably something we should address first. He had to leave because he really just couldn't do these times and it was an inconvenience to him. So, that's more than fair. So, we've got a permanent replacement, new member of the team, and we're going to get going. So, effectively, what we're doing for this, Tier 1 is mostly going to be Morgs. He's our Tier 1 expert, and then our Tier 2 expert is Lewis. So, we'll get right into it. We're going to start with Tier 1. And now we have a new graphic, actually, this time. I've probably forgotten some old graphics, but I've got a new one. And this time, we have a qualifying. So, I'm assuming if you're all watching along live, that would help. I'm talking to Morgs and Lewis here. So, we have the grid for the second race here. I think, fair to say straight away, there's a real talking point from that qualifying in the sense of first and second.
Yep, Renault 1-2, good performance by them in qualifying, but obviously there was only 5 runners who actually did a lap on softs. Most other people did it on mediums or hard compound tyres. So it's more flattering than it is, but it was a good result by them and it got them track position, which, as we'll discuss later, was a huge benefit for them in the end. But maybe it was a high risk starting the softs, and it turned out to be that way as well with Rapid Q, as we'll discuss a bit later on as well.
Yes, there's a lot to discuss from that Tier 1 race. Obviously, I think very quickly, we're not really going into drivers just yet, but Jolly P5, I mean, we're talking about qualifying at the moment, so yeah, Jolly P5 on the medium tyres, sorry, yellow in my head still means soft, on the medium tyres, putting in a really good lap, only, near about 5/10 off of me, who I thought my lap was pretty damn good on the soft, so, I mean, surely that would have put him in a great position for the race.
Yep, it definitely was a huge, brilliant qualifying performance. When I was watching it, I was pretty much shocked by how far ahead he was of the nearest medium runner, which is Grumpy Line, who, shout out to him, that was a good lap by Line as well, to be up into the second position of medium runners. So good lap by Line, but brilliant lap by Jolly. I was shocked when I saw that lap time.
Yeah, of course, Lion ahead of our Season 2 and Season 3 champions as well, of Danny and Antsmaz, both of these champions. He actually beat every single champion. We had Adam, or SRL Ninjas, as he won, Antsmaz and Danny, so yeah, it was a very good lap from himself. 3 very quick drivers, of course. So we'll move on to the bottom half of the grid, actually, because, of course, this is really... It's hard to come back from this track. It's a good track to overtake, though. However, with the traffic that we saw in the race, surely being in this lower half really, really didn't help.
Yep, definitely not. But again, some of those drivers in that bottom half did get some strong results. By some, I mean 3 of them. Actually 4 would have. Well, one of them would have been. But the 2 Hasses, Callum and Rosie, I'm thinking of at the moment. They came through well, and I didn't actually watch Bumpton's way too early too intensely, and I realised he finished, I think it was 6th or 7th in the end. Those hards, I think that worked for him. But then again, he did qualify in the hards and he's outside the top 10, so never mind. He would have on a fresh set of tyres. But I'm not sure on how they came through, but it was a brilliant drive by all of them. Lewis, anything to add?
Yeah, brilliant driving. I think that the pace of the mediums definitely showcased, especially we'll talk about the race in a minute, but obviously the medium runners in the qualifying definitely had a lot of impact in the race. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, you cut out there, so I wasn't sure.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go on to the race, and actually, we're going to look at the race results quickly. This is a returning graphic from last week. I just obviously put in the new results. So, this is obviously it looked like a really when you look at this this layout of showing the results, it looks like an incredibly dominant drive, doesn't it, for the win?
Yep, it does, but I don't think it does it justice. Jolly though, he drove well, but if you saw the race when it was live on Twitch, it was you didn't really know really until about lap 20 that if he was going to get close enough to challenge for the win, and then it was kind of obvious from that point that he was going to get past Beacon or Brad,
Hello.
who's here with me now, and you're going to go and take that win. But if you saw the stream as well, Jolly was backwards in 13th place after lap 1, so to come back and win, what a drive that was.
For sure, yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. We only had 2 DNFs, so that was. Were you expecting a little bit more than 2 DNFs, maybe, or around Bahrain, the walls aren't too close? Is that somewhat what you'd expect?
That's kind of what I expect. I didn't really. It was better than Australia. I think people are now got used to racing each other already, and it's now cleaned up a lot. But it was good in terms of the fact that people were keeping it on the road, and really, Rapid Cook's the time it wasn't really his fault in the end. And I'm not really sure what happened to Rampage. I think he might have crashed out. So really, only one crash in the whole race is pretty good.
Yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, I think we're going to move on to the teams now. So I've updated this graphic as well. This is what took me a couple of hours today to do all this. So it's a little bit neater than last time, and it's got a little bit more information on it. So we'll move on. So Mercedes, first of all, we have BMG Nomad, who qualified 10th on the medium tyres, and Chandler Slater, who qualified 4th on the soft tyres. And in the end, BMG Nomad was able to finish 5th. He made up 5 places, and Chandler Slater, with a 10-second time penalty, actually dropped 6 places in the end. So what went on with Mercedes in that race?
Well, they were both quite quiet, really, throughout the whole race. They both kind of just got on with their own races, kept it quite quiet. But then at the end, Nomad picked his way through the carnage that happened for that battle for the podium in the last few laps, and Chandler got caught up in it. Chandler was probably in one of the best positions to get that podium, and then he had a collision with Rossi, which gave him a 10-second time penalty. He finished 8th and then ended up dropping to 10th. So it was a disappointment for Chandler, no doubt, but brilliant drive by Nomad. He kept his cool, picked his way through the carnage and finished 5th, and he was very, very happy about that. I spoke to him after the race, extremely happy with that 5th place, and rightly so as well.
Yeah, for sure. And Chandler, of course, he was a little bit controversial in that race, wasn't he? In the end, of course, with the contact with Rossi, and Rossi thought he was going to be able to get himself a podium without that spin. So Rossi, in the end, didn't actually want a penalty to be given out, I think, was the situation we were left with. But Chandler himself decided that he deserved a penalty for that and sent it in. But I think it's a good idea to mention how close Chandler is to a quali ban at the moment.
Yep, only 1 penalty point away already. 2 penalties. And I think there are only 2 drivers with penalty points this season. Maybe 3, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I think
but
it's
it's himself and Ansmaz at the moment. Yeah. But Ansmaz was only for cutting a corner. And so Chandler definitely needs to clean up a little bit. But that will definitely come with time. Both incidents came from a similar sort of thing. It was just kind of dive bombing a little bit in the not really right situation. And then that's an easy fix, really, just to learn to be patient, and he'll easily clear that up. And he's quite clean, I think, when he's racing side by side. Just 2 impatient moments which have cost him.
Yeah. Liz, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's just a case of knowing how far you can push your car. I know that Chandler's definitely driving very intense, and that's good. Everyone, that determination is good, but you need to know when to, just cut it back a little. That challenge, that collision, I feel like it could have been avoidable. So, yeah, just know where your car's limits are.
Yeah, no, for sure, I agree with that. So I think we can move on now to Ferrari. So yeah, it's,
this will be quick.
Yeah, this is incredibly quick. I left them on here, not to talk about their race. There wouldn't be much discussion about their race since neither of them attended, but more about the implications of them not attending. Obviously, UK Dark Predator, he's in for wheel repairs at the moment. Well, he's not in. He has his wheel in for repairs, so he can't race. He's missed the first 2 races now, and he's someone you'd be expecting to score quite a few points, and he's currently sat at the bottom of the table on 0. And King Liam, I'm still not actually sure why he didn't turn up in the end, but that's really hurt his championship hopes as well, hasn't it?
Yep, Ferrari now bottom of the constructors, which is not what I expected to be saying 2 races in.
Yeah.
But again, with only one, driver racing in one race out of the 2, it's kind of makes sense why they're so low. And obviously, King Liam ended up retiring from the race in Australia. So, not a perfect start to the season for Ferrari, but they're only 55 points behind, and in the constructors, and for a team like that, I think that's easily recoverable.
Yeah, they're 2 really quick drivers, but Lewis, how easy is it to come back from, let's say, King Liam? We know he's a really quick driver. He's on 0 points at the moment. He didn't score in Australia. He DNF'd after I think it was a spin under safety car, and now he's got to try to recover all these points to Jolly now. And is that going to happen? Is that possible?
I think it's too early to rule it out. Obviously, if they're unable to attend, I mean, that is obviously going to have an impact on it. But we know that King Liam can fight with the the big boys. That's the main ones, especially Jolly. And I definitely say it's too early to rule it out.
Sure. So okay, we'll move on again. Ferrari is going to be quick. None of their drivers attended. So, move on now to Red Bull. We have Callum G and JJ Rocks. So, very much qualifying at this binary performance. JJ qualified on the softs. He thought it was a good idea. Ended up 3rd behind the 2 Renaults of me and Vapid. Callum G qualified in 12th place on the medium tyres. And obviously, he ended incredibly well. He actually finished ahead of his teammates, so that strategy, surely by looking at that, may have been a little bit better.
Yeah, well, I mean, on paper, that it makes it look. It makes Callum's strategy look better.
Yeah.
But in reality, JJ did pick up damage when battling with Vapid, which dropped him back a bit, and actually ended up giving the train, which caused all the carnage for the podium. And this race didn't go without controversy between the Red Bull drivers. From what I heard by speaking to them, is that JJ said that Callum said he's not going to attack and there's no need for JJ to defend. And at the last corner, Callum decided to go for it and then got the position on JJ on the switchback at the final corner. So kind of going against what they'd both agreed on. So there's a bit of controversy there for the podium position. But as a team, getting a 3-4, and I think they were higher scorers as a team last time out, except for Williams, I think. I think that's a brilliant performance, especially considering, from Callum anyway, a poor showing in Australia and JJ not attending.
Yeah. So this is one of our teams of. There's actually 2 former Tier 2 drivers. These guys were both Tier 2 last year, and they've second race in Tier 1. We said in the pre-season show they really want to make an impact. They're 3rd and 4th in the second race. That's surely it couldn't have gone much better at all. Apart from 2 places better, it couldn't have gone any better, really.
Yeah, it couldn't have. It could have. They could have won this race, but yeah, it's gone brilliant for them in Bahrain at least, less so in Australia. But then again, all the Tier 2 drivers have really done well. You've had a Clenzo getting that front row in Australia. You've had then both Red Bulls getting a 3-4 today. Not today, in Bahrain. And then also Nomad getting 5th as well, all up from Tier 2. So brilliant work from the promoted drivers at the moment, and hopefully they can continue this good run of form.
Sure. Yeah, Lewis, do you have anything to add on to this team?
Yeah, I had no idea about the conversation they had in which Callum said he'd stay behind, and I feel like I hope not, but I feel like that could have a knock on their chemistry. If they can, I don't know. It would that with that being said, that could make them even more competitive between them. So who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, even if it doesn't impact their chemistry necessarily, it's really going to impact their trust. They're not gonna have that belief in each other to necessarily do what they've said. It really doesn't help. You really do need, especially if you're in a party with your teammate. I know a lot of people opt to not do that, but if you are, you do need that element of trust. So it could really, really impact them as the season goes on. Right, these two talk to each other a lot. They're good friends, so I'm sure it shouldn't impact them too much. But in the race situation, they should. But yeah, for sure, it's really going to make a difference. So yeah, are we good to move on now to Renault?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, obviously, I don't like talking about myself too much on this, but I picked up the pole point and came home second in the race. Vapid, my teammate, obviously, qualified second, really good lap, was up there, running net P3 for the majority of the race, net P2, net P3. Battling with JJ, of course, as we mentioned, and then DNF'd in the end of a puncture. Just how devastating was that?
Yeah, definitely. It was on for, I think, a double podium for Renault up until that point, which would have been brilliant for them. But then, obviously, I guess, I don't know what your tyre wear was like and what JJ's was like, but I guess Vapid just might have not looked after his tyres well enough. But at the end of the day, they took the risk with starting on the softs to get the track position for the start of the race, and it looked to be paying off, and it paid off for yourself, Antiv, and also for JJ. But it just didn't pay off for Vapid, and that's the risk you take with starting on the softest compounded tyres and trying the one stop. And unfortunately for Vapid, it just didn't work.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, yeah, I always do my little race summary in these. Well, I did the first show, so therefore it's now a new tradition. So I'd say qualifying on the softs, me and Vapid had that planned right from before. I'd done a race run in which I easily made it soft to hard and finished the race. Then I did this race, and I realised we were probably about 7 laps left as Jolly was starting to close. Well, as Jolly was closing and got past. I wasn't going to make it to the end if I didn't slow down a bit. And Vapid, I know he was doing a lot of tyre saving as well, because I was 4 seconds down on my personal best laps at some points, and the gap was staying the same between us. So he was obviously doing the exact same thing, and he was really able to capitalise from JJ's wing damage, actually. That's what kept him in that P3, effectively, until of course his puncture happened. The strategy obviously was a brilliant idea, in the sense of track position and being able to run so high all race, because I'm sure, I'm fairly certain that if we qualified on the medium tyres, we potentially, we wouldn't have the track position and would be at higher risk of getting damaged. So we can't really complain too much of strategy, but linking onto the tyre wear issue, that's what made Jolly's win look so dominant on paper this week. Me lapping 4 seconds a lap off my personal best at the end of the race, and he was pulling away 3 seconds a lap. It was in a way painful, but I was more fearing that the cars behind were going to catch up, and I think I sort of accepted that. I think Vapid accepted as well that Jolly was going to get past him at least. So he, I know for a fact he tried to hold Jolly up for as long as he can without destroying his tyres, and obviously that wasn't enough in the end. So yes, that finishes my lovely race summary. And if anyone wants to carry on talking about this team, feel more than free to do so.
I have nothing to add.
Yeah.
Me neither, I think.
All right, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to Haas. Well, there was a double points finish for them, so I'm sure they're not going to complain too much. TOR Pepsi going from 9th to 8th after Chandler's penalty, so he ended up doubling his points post-race. Qualified 15th on the mediums, so not great at all. really. He'd want to be qualifying a bit higher than that. And Brunson retired in qualifying on the hards, actually letting me past. Because I was on a hot lap and he was on a hot lap on the hards, and he realised I'd caught up, so he tried to get out of the way and hit the wall. So that was incredibly unfortunate for himself, but he was really able to claw it back in the race. And both these guys made up, well, obviously Pepsi made up in the end 7 places, and Brunson made up 11 places in the end. So surely that's a brilliant race for the Haas boys.
Yep, I know they're both very happy with that performance. Double points for the team, which is good, but it's annoying because looking at their constructors' points, I think it's 13 that they were on, and Brunson, who obviously retired last time out in Australia, who could have easily won that race or at least been on the podium. They could be ahead of Red Bull or Renault at the moment, but it's annoying because they're not. And I think this team's going to be one which consistently gets into the points this season, but maybe doesn't always get up there right at the top, because I think both of them have good racecraft and both of them have better race pace and qualifying pace. And they're both going to probably be risk takers on strategy and try different strategies that the front runners aren't going to try. So I think they're going to be interesting to watch this season, and if they can keep up a good point scoring consistency, then they're definitely going to be right up there at the end of the season for a good, solid championship finishing position.
Yeah, for sure. They should be up there, and Brunson for sure is a really quick driver, and Pepsi is good as well. We can't underestimate him. He has shown real pace at some points. So I think those two should be aiming for realistically regular point scoring, I'd say. I'm just quickly adding the constructors table because you reminded me to do that to the stream. So what. I'm trying to include you in this in some way.
It's cool.
They should be doing better, really, shouldn't they? Like, if Brunson didn't retire in Australia, obviously that was really unfortunate. I believe it was after the safety car happened. He'd have been in good pace, and it really surely would have allowed Haas to just be that much higher up and really compete. And Rozzy, I'll rephrase that. As Rozzy said in the chat to the RFL account, he doesn't want Haas to be getting more points. So does that probably indicate he's sort of, I don't want to say fearing because that's a little bit too extreme, but a little bit taking a bit of precaution around the Haas boys, and maybe if they could pose a threat to Williams and the constructors?
Yeah, that's definitely alarming as to where Rossi, like how comfortable he's feeling around the hospital, well, rather uncomfortable he's feeling around the hospital. I feel it's a shame they're qualifying, but they've definitely put the performances in races, and I feel we could see some progression with the Haas boys to the point where they could be definitely fighting at the top towards the end of the calendar, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. All right, so obviously that's one to watch for sure. A lot of these teams now, they could have a real turn in form at any point, so it is something really interesting to watch out for. I think, is it okay if we move on to McLaren?
Yep.
All right, brilliant. So McLaren, awful race. They had a 1-2. I'm just going to be incredibly blunt with this. They had a 1-2 in Australia. Absolutely brilliant. Top of the world. Fantastic. They didn't score any points this time, and it wasn't due to any bad accidents or anything. They really didn't have the pace. Qualifying 8th for Danny. Actually, it's a high qualifying for the medium runners, but it really went backwards in the race. 11th place. Ian Boy qualified 14th on the mediums and finished 16th. Just what happened to McLaren? They were so brilliant last week, and then this.
I don't know. That's the best way to put it for me. Danny was just nowhere compared to what he was in Australia. He was third qualifying in Australia, and he was obviously winning he won the race. But then, if you think about it, he was third of the medium runners this time around, and he was third overall last time around, and barely anybody started on the medium. So qualifying wasn't a disaster. Qualifying was good, I think. Yeah. But the race, he would just drop down. Obviously, he had a collision early on, which he managed to recover to 11th. So not really where he wanted to be. I reckon he could have got into the points without incident easily, and maybe into top 5, but just not the way he wanted the race to go. And Ian Boy, obviously last time out, he tried the different strategy, the alternate strategy of starting on mediums and then going to softs at the end of the race, I think it was.
Oh, right.
And for him to this time around, because so many people tried it, it just didn't work. And he also got caught up in an incident early on as well. So that ended up him in 16th place and last of the finishers. So McLaren's not having a great day, but I don't think this is a sign of things to come later in the season.
Is this what makes a championship, though? Obviously, Danny's going to be wanting to fight for a championship this season. Of course he is. He wants to get a second championship under his belt. And, well, what's happened is you have Jolly, who is probably the main championship, the other competitor for the championship with Danny, and probably Antsmaz, if they can all get their acts together. But Jolly, he had an incident as well. He was spun round early on. But is this a difference? Danny had an incident, dropped down. Jolly had an instant drop down, but Jolly won the race. He was able to really come back from it. He had that pace and was able to fight back. Is that what makes a championship?
Yeah, but you've got to remember that Danny had to pit, I think, because of the incident, whilst Jolly didn't. Jolly got hit in the rear and therefore had no damage and just span, really, whilst Danny had to pit, I think, after his incident and lose so much time because of it. I think I remember Danny and Ian Boy both scrapping for last place in lap 3 or 4 because they were so far behind as well.
Yeah.
So it didn't go well for them, but I think we'll have to see. There'll probably be situations where Jolly has an incident which makes him have to pit and come right from the back, and also same with Danny where he doesn't have damage and therefore can come straight back, and we'll see the difference. But just to mention that Danny is missing the next 2 races, that could be a huge blow. He wanted a good result here so that he can keep his championship well and truly alive.
Yeah, obviously, so Lewis, I'll get you into it again. So with him missing these 2 races, he's really got to come. Is that realistically championship over? Because he's got to come back now. He's already behind. I mean, he won. Actually, what was it? He won the first race? Yeah, it was. It was Danny won the first. No, yes, it was. Danny won the first race. So to have him now, he's got that win under his belt. He's not too far behind in the championship. He's obviously not where he wants to be after that non-scoring race in Bahrain. But he's got to come back from this now, and this is a time when he needs to really rebound, and he's now left in this bad form for the next 3 weeks now, coming into the
he's definitely going to take probably a miracle if he manages to get back into title contention after his 2-week absence. We've seen he's definitely got the pace, but pace in Australia. I don't know what happened in Bahrain, as you said, but he's. I don't know if for some reason Jolly underperformed. I doubt it's going to happen, but if for some reason Jolly underperformed, he probably would still have a chance when he comes back. But I really don't think that's going to happen. I think it's pretty much game over. But who knows?
This season, Jolly, we haven't seen him underperform too much. And I mean, after that, he spun and had an amazing comeback drive. So really, what can stop him apart from big damage and being crashed into a wall? Pace.
We can't rule it out though. Yeah, that's the unfortunate truth.
Yeah, I think with motor racing, you never know.
Exactly.
I do want to mention that Bahrain is one of his best tracks. He's 7th in the world at time trial around here, I think.
Jesus. Right.
But nowhere, he's not that anywhere else, at least from my knowledge. So I think in terms of Jolly, the breadth of the pack will be closer to him in other races. This was definitely Jolly's ground. It was like a home fixture pretty much. I don't think it's going to be like this everywhere that we're going to visit this season. And I think he's not going to run away with it this season by no stretch.
Yeah, for sure. I hope not, for the sake of the championship battle, and I hope for the sake of me, because it looked quite embarrassing at the end, being so far behind. I hope he was a little bit slower. We're good to move on now to the next team, and it's not going to be as positive, I'm afraid. Racing Point, Rampage, 2nd DNF in a row, qualified 16th on the medium tyres. That's the wrong colour, ignore that. And PMT Briz qualified 6th, good qualifying show, but he was the last of the soft runners. And in the race, only fell backwards to 15th.
Yep, I think these two boys are struggling at the moment. Do you want to mention on the stream there's now for Mayo?
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to.
But anyway,
that's the next team. I can resize that.
They're both struggling at the moment quite significantly with the tier 1 pace. Maybe it's them not adapt to the game. Maybe it's just them making mistakes. I'm not really sure what's going on at the moment with them both, but I'm expecting them to score a couple points this season by easily.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next few races, especially if we have an action-packed race. But
we get a lot of those.
We're gonna have to see what happens to them because 16th in qualifying is not the best place to be in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
Yeah, I'm expecting both these guys to get points at some point. They will. We always get it. I don't think we've had a season of RFL where we've had regular drivers not scoring points. We've had, obviously, people come in for 1-2 races and not score points, but we've never really had regulars like this.
I think only 4 drivers after 2 races haven't scored points, which is both Ferraris and both Racing Points. Yeah. So at the moment, it's looking positive in terms of them scoring points eventually.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they will.
You know, tracks like Monaco, if Rampage and Briz can keep out of the wall, let's be honest, they're probably a shoo-in for points. If you don't crash, you're probably going to get points.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just this down... Not a great start to the season, obviously. It's by no means ideal to still be on 0 points at this stage. But surely it can only go up for these guys.
Yep, definitely. I think as the season goes on, they're going to close into the pack whilst the pack struggles to improve as they're hitting their peak performance or their ceiling of performance. So these guys are going to catch up, if anything, more than the pack ahead pulls away in terms of pace. So I wouldn't rule out them catching up and having a good second half of the season. But I think now, looking at the opening part of the season, I think their aim really is probably to finish 9th in the constructors in the nicest way possible, because the Ferraris, who are currently bottom, they will score points. Yeah, they both got really good drivers. And I think there's a couple of teams in there that have had a start that I think makes them look better than they are. And I think if Racing Point can begin to get consistent, they can probably challenge some of these teams.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think there's not too much to talk about with these guys. Rampage, of course, DNFing again. He'll want to, I'm sure, finish in China. That will be a more positive race, to be honest.
I mean, it will be something for him.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
Exactly.
I know he's listening as well, so that's. I think we should just be either as nice as possible or as mean as possible.
Yeah, let's just.
I think we'll swiftly move on then. We'll go on to now. Who saw this one coming? The Alfa Romeo. It's not like you saw it under the other slide or anything. So Ant-Maz, again, actually, we shouldn't be so upbeat with this team. This was an awful race compared to what was relatively good last time out. Ant-Maz and Colenso both on the medium tyres. I missed that. I know I missed that while I was making the graphic. But yeah, in the end, they finished 12th and 13th. Again, it's a real turn in Fort Match. It's not really, because Ant-Maz, after his penalty, only got 1 point, I think it was, in Australia, and Colenso only got a couple as well. So, but these guys should be doing a lot better. They should be a lot higher normally, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I don't know really what happened today. On today, I don't really know what happened on last Saturday. Those drivers are better than their results are showing at the moment. Especially Ant-Maz, obviously, who's last season's champion, going into this season. But Ant-Maz, he's shown that he's got pace because of Australia. He finished 5th, of course, and qualified, I think it was 5th as well. So he's got pace as Ant-Maz, but around this track he just had no pace. And even his Australia pace wasn't championship competing, it was just top runner competing, maybe a couple of race wins or podiums. But it wasn't championship potential. So Ant-Maz, I think, has got some work to do over the next few weeks if he wants to begin a championship charge. Colenso, he's coming to the season with no expectation at the moment, but after his Australia performance in qualifying, this is a huge coming back down to earth with a bump, especially his qualifying, which we probably expected him to be much higher up the order. I certainly did in the commentary box and was shocked at how low down he was. So I think this team's got a lot of work to do, and I think they will improve as the season goes on, definitely, from what they're doing at the moment. But at the moment, it's just not been as good as they probably were expecting.
Yeah, for sure. More of a serious discussion about this. Ant-Smaz, what has happened to him? Because on the last game, at times he looked untouchable. He was absolutely brilliant. Beating Danny, of course, who we know is incredibly quick as well. And he hasn't shown it yet this week. Sorry, I'm doing what you're doing now. This season, and. Are we actually considering him a title threat anymore? We haven't seen. It's easy to say he's a really quick driver. We know he is, but from what we've seen, we haven't actually got any glimpses of him showing this pace yet.
Well, maybe it's because if you remember back to season 2, he wasn't really a championship contender, and he shocked me when he emerged as a title contender, or at least a contender for second place at the start of season 3. So maybe it's not the fact that he gained pace at the end of 2018. He just got used to the game, and he actually found some form. Maybe he just takes longer to adapt to the game, and maybe we're going to see in season 5 or the end of this season him really come of what we expect him to come of. I still consider him a championship threat though at the moment, but I think next time out is I wouldn't say must win, but it's must get a good result.
Telling of where he's going this season, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's weird. I know the ERL guys. They work a lot together to really help each other with setups and driving and stuff like that. So maybe it is the fact that they haven't been able to. I don't want to use the word exploit because it sounds like they're cheating, but how to get the most out of the game yet? Because it's still a relatively new game. Not everything's known, and maybe that is an element of why they do tend to just get that little bit better at the end of the season.
Yep, potentially. I mean, we're gonna have to see as the season unfolds, obviously. But the drivers with teams which are like associated to teams, are gonna benefit a lot more because they've got more support. Obviously, Cleanser is associated to Bossman Gaming.
Yeah.
So we got like both Alfa Romeos have got support there for driving and setups, and they'll probably be helping each other as well. So I think the support's there to improve, and they will improve. It's just how quickly, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. That's really something to look out for. Listen, have you got anything to add on to that? Or is it covered?
Yeah, I think we're definitely. I think it's definitely telling. With Ant-Smaz, he definitely took time to adapt to the previous game, and as you noted, he was a surprise contender in the previous season. It's a new game, and I think, as you said, he just probably takes much more time. Well, not much more, but more time. I say much more as if it sounds like he's awful. He's not awful.
No.
He's a previous champion. He's the reigning champion as it is. So, but yeah, we definitely it's when you're the reigning champion, there's a lot of weight on your shoulders to perform well. So I think we definitely just need to give him the time to adapt in the new game. As far as Cleanso goes, I mean, he was one of the shocking frontrunners. During qualifying in Australia, I think we definitely just need to. We can't expect too much based on one performance in one track. If he does perform well, it would be great if he does perform well in the races to come. But as far as things go, we've just seen one great performance in his Tier 1 debut, no less. So, who knows?
No, for sure. And that's a fair point. He's BMG Cleanser. He's really excelled in one session, fell back in the race, and he's been frustrated with it, and I know he has. After the race in Bahrain, he was clearly quite frustrated with his pace. But at the end, it's not too bad. It's really not that bad. He's moved up from Tier 2. He was a mid-runner in Tier 2 last season anyway. And he came in and really showed what he had. He really did in Australia. Qualifying so well. I mean, even if I was on the quicker tyres, I think it was, I don't think even I'd been able to match that pace. So he really had put... he'd really stepped up and really come in. And it's race pace, I think he's just got to improve. And if he can, or even just stay out of trouble in the race, then he's going to be in the points. And I think he does know that. But yeah, obviously it's frustrating at this point of the year, or at this point in the game, to still not have many points on the board after he's shown so much promise in one session. It's a bit like you expect yourself, based on one performance, to be up there all the time, when the reality is you're probably lower end of the points. It can be frustrating, but you can move on from it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if we move on now to Toro Rosso, unless anyone has anything they'd like to say.
Nope.
Okay. Right. So Toro Rosso. Better. Well, not as good as last time round. Let's put it that way. But it's not awful for them. Adam just clearly had a really bad race after qualifying. P11 on the mediums, and Grumpy Line was also on the mediums as well. And put in that mad qualifying lap. It was really good pace from himself. And in the race just fell backward. Oh, no, he didn't actually. He stayed in the same place, didn't he? Adam fell backwards in the race. That's what I meant, sorry. But he was able to... I'm assuming that was by incidence, because he did what I did, and in 14th place in the end, got the fastest lap of the race, and that's exactly what I did in Australia. So there's a couple of interesting stats with these guys as a team, for sure.
Yep, definitely. But Grumpy Line being very consistent, seventh in Australia qualifying and race, seventh in Bahrain qualifying and race. So consistency is going to pay off probably for Line at the moment. But he did a really good qualifying lap, be second in the medium runners, but he just didn't capitalise it on the race compared to how Jolly did. Obviously, not having as much race pace as Jolly, and he didn't really pick his way through that mad pack at the end as well, as much as I would have expected. But he was consistent, he was clean, and that's what's going to reward him at the end of the day. 2 consistent point finishes really have put him up quite well in the championship. I think he's like 9th, off the top of my head, he's 9th or something. And that's not bad. And also his teammate as well, they were running together at one point, and I think Adam did end up, I'm not sure what happened to him, but I think he did end up having a collision or making an extra pit stop. But they were running together, and I mentioned it last time out that the Toro Rossos are close on pace, and they were challenging each other and pushing each other, and that was happening again in Bahrain, because they were close to each other at one point. They were having a little race, I think, as well. So these two are going to push each other all season, and I think they're going to be consistent point scorers like Haas, and I think probably Haas are their biggest rivals this season.
Yeah, that's going to be something really interesting to look out for. But Grumpy Line, he's got good... I'll rephrase that. He's shown a lot of promise so far this season. Do you reckon it's going to get much better, or is this roughly where he's going to be for the whole season, or do you think he's going to break into that sort of top 6, or in one session not finish 7th?
Well, I think I'll be surprised if he finishes 7th in both sessions next time out.
Yes. Yeah.
Or brilliant if he does, just for someone like me who just wants to see that for fun. But I'm sure he'll be hoping for more, and I think he will get more. I think he's got the pace to do so, especially considering drivers that weren't in the top 6 last time out were this time, and vice versa. So I think if he can just keep it clean, he'll probably break into that top 6 this time around.
Yep. Yeah, I'd like to see that, but I wouldn't actually, because I'm assuming I'll rephrase that. I'm hoping I'm going to be in that top 6. So I wouldn't like to see him anywhere near that. But obviously, for the sake of watching it, and for the sake of talking, and I've raced him before. We had some really good races, so I think I'd like to see him up there. And I think he could well do, really. It just depends what everyone else around him is going to be able to do, because we don't... Well, we can more than expect quite a few of the guys to have different rates of improvement as this game goes on. Some guys might appear like they're falling back, but they've gained 2 or 3 tenths, but people around them have gained 6 or 7. It really can happen that way.
Yep, I agree. I don't really have anything else to add on this one, so unless Lewis does.
Not really. I just think, if he can break into that top 6, it will definitely make him a lot less grumpy. But but yeah, consistent, and that's great to see. But we definitely want to see him up there, break into the top 6.
Yeah, well, yeah. With Adam, of course, season 1 champion. Do you think he's shown similar pace? So do you think he's going to be able to actually kind of follow Lion into that top 6? Are they going to? Because they've had similar pace all along, really, all the times in practice. I think Adam just had a really poor race this time round, and in the end did claim that point for fastest lap. So obviously he'll be fairly happy with that. But could they both, if they can improve at the same rate, actually start to properly challenge?
Maybe for an occasional podium, if I'm honest. I think they're both very strong, but I think they're not championship or race winning. But with mental carnage, you never know. But I think we'll see definitely them score some podiums this season. I'm hoping that both of them score at least one podium this season. I'm half expecting that as well.
Yeah.
Them to score at least one podium as a team and probably one each as well.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, it's still sort of guesswork at this point in the season. We're not 100% certain on everyone's pace. We know Jolly has mad pace, and we know a couple of guys have a bit less pace. But the midfield, really, God knows, anything could happen as the season goes on. Maybe half the midfield have just had 2 really bad races, not happy with themselves, and maybe the other half have had brilliant races. It really can vary as we get different races. So, we'll move on now to Williams. It could have been a bit more this race, but I'm sure one of their drivers aren't going to complain at all. Johnny winning the race, 5th on those mediums, putting that amazing lap in qualifying to put himself ahead of one of the soft runners, actually, PMT Briz. So Johnny entered the race first. That strategy massively helped him. That's fair to say. And yeah, I mean, after that spin, did you really, as obviously you were commentating the race, did you think he was gonna win? Did you think there was a real chance or just a bit of a chance?
A bit of a chance, not a real chance, to be honest. But again, I didn't really know how the leaders' strategy was going to unfold, such as yourself, Vapid. JJ, I didn't know how all of their races would unfold. Obviously, in the end, it unfolded that actually it looked like track position was quite important for that opening stint. Getting out the traffic and having that clean air really benefited, and being in that lead then helped obviously massively in the opening stint. So it made Jolly's life a little bit tougher, but I think with his race pace for this weekend, his racecraft as well as picking off the field, it was pretty much a done deal from the start, even though we really only saw it coming after his pit stop and his pace then. But I think his pace was just phenomenal. But I don't think we're going to see a drive as fast as that from Jolly for a long time.
No, sure. And yeah, as a driver myself, when I was leading the race at the time, and all of a sudden you see he's lapping 2 seconds quicker than you after his pit stop. I was like, straight away, I knew within a matter of about 10 laps he was going to be right there. And yet, he picked off JJ, he picked off Vapid. I was able to hold it fairly consistent to him for a bit, but I'm fairly sure he was saving fuel in the RS because I was beginning to tyre save at that point, so I was surprised he wasn't just streaking past. And then all of a sudden he closed in 2 seconds in 1 lap, so I'm assuming he just upped everything while I was still trying to save my tyres. And of course, he won the race incredibly convincingly in the end, but on paper it looked one hell of a lot easier than it actually was.
Yeah, he had to work for that for sure. It'll be interesting to see though how he does next time out in China, because we're probably going to see a similar situation with probably being very difficult to do the one stop on starting from the soft compound tyres. So I think we're going to see a similar situation with other cars this weekend, and I think Jolly's probably going to be trying the easy one stop of the mediums to hards. So he's definitely one to watch for that, and I think it's going to be an interesting race.
We'll move on to Rossi because we haven't actually mentioned him yet. He said he was in for a potential podium if he wasn't spun round by Chandler when they were battling. From your position, do you think that was possible?
Well, yeah, considering him and Chandler were battling for basically they were first onto the train with JJ, and considering they were battling pretty much up until that point, if they managed to get past JJ, they would have easily got that podium. But unfortunately, both of them came together, both went out, and well, not out, but they both came together and lost some positions.
Yeah.
So I actually do want to mention Chandler did say that he just misjudged his braking. He didn't actually dive bomb. I've just found that out within the stream time. So, but anyway, going back to it, Rossi basically, I think him or Chandler would have been on that podium if they didn't come together. I think him, Chandler, or JJ. I don't think Callum would have got it because Callum would have been behind 3 cars for the podium rather than just 1. So I think it would have been between Chandler, Rossi, and JJ for that podium. And I think Rossi's right with him potentially getting that podium if he didn't have the collision. I think he would have. But then again, I would have said Chandler would have as well because they're both quick drivers. They both got good racecraft. And JJ as well was doing a brave defence.
Yeah. I think we're going to have to speed this up a little bit because we're going to overrun what is normally our hour-long show. So we'll move on now. And that's gone horribly... Well, it doesn't fit, so we'll just do that for now. So the Tier 1 Constructors' Championship is there. It doesn't actually fit proportionally, so that's a slight issue. But obviously, Williams, they're quite comfortably winning at the moment, actually. But of course, Rossi didn't help that too much in this race. If Rossi did get that podium, they'd be streaking away at the moment. But McLaren, actually, I say that, they are fairly close, to be honest. So I think they're definitely still winning it. Renault, my team, I don't think we're going to get constructors. I think 3rd or 4th is the best we're going to be able to do, especially seeing where Ferrari will end up when they all start racing. Yeah, what do you make of this? Currently, what do you make of the Constructors' Championship?
It's interesting because when you compare to the drivers, I mentioned this to you before the stream, you can kind of see it's like all the teammates are very, very close together. You've got Jolly in 1st, I think it's Rossi in about 4th or 5th. You got the 2 McLaren 2nd and 4th.
Find out. There you go.
Yeah, so you got the McLaren 2nd and 4th. You got the Renault 3rd and 9th. So, and the Red Bulls obviously 6th and 7th as well. So you can see that like all the teammates are quite close together, and I think that's going to make for an interesting prospect. And maybe we're going to see more so than ever inter-team rivalries from not only the constructors but the drivers as well.
Yeah, we see it. Toro Rosso I'm really interested in. Red Bull I'm really interested in. Williams, I think the gap's too high at the moment. I think Jolly's a bit too quick for Rossi, but they're both really quick drivers, don't get me wrong. McLaren, I think, probably won't get too tasty. Those two get on really well. Renault, I'm honestly fearing that because we've after only 10 points apart at the moment, and I know that can turn at any moment, and of course he's the person I want to beat most, so... yeah, I'm really trying to rush this along now because we are going to go quite a bit over with Tier 2. So, we'll move on from that. Obviously, Racing Point and Ferrari, as you mentioned before, yet to score a point. Driver standings, we have Jolly leading, 38 points. He has a 13-point lead over Danny, and then it's me, 5 points behind Danny. And then it's really a really tightly packed midfield, isn't it?
Yep, Ian Boy, 18th, pretty much 3rd down to 10th, and probably a bit further as well, is only separated by 10 points. So it's brilliant to watch at the moment, and I think a good result for any driver from 3rd probably down to about 14th will really shoot them up the order and potentially right up into that top 3.
Yeah. So, right, would you say at the moment, given Danny's going to be gone a bit, Jolly is very much looking like he's going to be champion at this early stage in the season?
He looks favourite, but no stretch. He's champion. Nowhere near that.
No.
It's a long way to go yet.
Yeah. Again, as I quickly, we'll move on to Tier 2 in a second now. So here's the bottom 10, and we still have obviously the 4 drivers yet to get off the marks for the 2 teams. So, and Hans Maz looking at 16th. Just, if you told me after 2 races this season Hans Maz was going to be 16th, I would have probably laughed at you. I'm going to be honest, and it's really surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, especially being beaten by his teammate as well in 13th. That's another shock.
Tier 2,
especially the man. Yeah, and the man who also was 5th highest result last season. That's going to be a stat that's been mentioned. Going to be mentioned a lot this season around Clan. So 5th highest result last season in Tier 2, and then he's beaten season 3 champion as a teammate.
Yeah.
At the start of season 4, but I'd be surprised if that lasts too much longer, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too shocked either. So, I'm assuming you had a look. That's the tier 2. Actually, funny enough, me saving time by doing this format is actually going to save us quite a bit of time. So, we have tier 2 results. Powerquicks won the race by 11 seconds. BMG Lewis actually barely lost to S. Perez. So that was a really close fight for them, surely.
Oh yeah, it was definitely. I think whilst Paraquix was impressive with his pace, I think most of the entertainment, personally, watching the stream back, came from the battle between Perez and Lewis. Both going back and forth. Particularly, I think it was in the I'm bad at numbers, but I think it was either turn 3 or 4, where Perez lost track and had to run wide onto the strip, but it was definitely entertaining to watch them two go at it, and unfortunately Lewis lost it on the last lap.
Yeah, sure, not ideal. Paraquix, obviously, I didn't actually watch that race. I saw bits of it. Was he as dominant as that score sheet looks?
I think I think it was very telling. I know we don't cover qualifying, but it was very telling that he was up with the soft runners on mediums, and his qualifying definitely shone in the race, his pace, and I think he was just lucky with strategy as well. I think it was during. I got it lap 9. He took the lead, but he just had an exceptional pace all the way through.
Yeah, so obviously Espero's 9th to 2nd. That's well, surely he had a pretty good race then.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I honestly I don't know. I would have never suspected him to be running up the top after qualifying, but he was definitely up there, and it was incredible to he was in there in the battle, and who would have predicted that at the start of the race? Definitely not me.
Yeah.
But it's definitely great to see that he's performing.
Yeah, no, he was in tier 1 last season, I believe he was. Yes, with Rampage.
Right.
And yeah, it was clear he's more of a tier 2 driver, and it's good to see him up there, to be honest. So it's really good for him. Alfa Romeo battle. What's sort of going on there?
Oh yeah, Alfa Romeo are definitely the team, the spotlight team has as far as the season goes right now. Drift King, he's definitely performing, but Lewis has the edge on him. So far, it would be great to see Drift King fighting for the top spot in future races. But as of right now, Lewis has the edge. But they're definitely the team, and it would be great to see other drivers trying to break them apart. But as of right now, they look like they've got the advantage over everyone else.
Yeah, obviously dominating the Constructors' Championships, as you can see at the bottom, and the Drivers' Championships, to be honest.
Yeah.
Paraquix, though, well, he's left. I think we should quickly mention that. So he's not really going to be, not going to be as much of a championship threat.
It's a shame. He's not going to be a championship threat at all, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a shame. Personally, it's worked out in my favour.
Yeah.
But because I have an official drive now for Mercedes, that has no impact on me other than I get a confirmed slot. But it's a shame. Paraquix definitely had great potential, but he had to leave. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah. Right. So S. Perez obviously 4th in a championship. Do you reckon he's gonna be able to do much with a championship fight this season?
I definitely think Perez is he has a potential. I don't think it's purely going to be Alfa Romeo's season. I think there's definitely going to be contenders to fight for the championship, and Perez is one of them. We've seen it because we've seen that he can battle with the Alfa Romeo boys, particularly Lewis, and I think that is telling for the season as well. I think there's definitely potential for Perez to break into the championship fight and possibly give Lewis a run for his money in the championship in dates to come. So
so move on to actually it looks like quite a good battle at Haas between Tom Gorey and a label Red Devil. They're currently tied on points in the driver's standings. And what do you see going on for the rest of the season between those two?
I think I'm definitely not counting Haas's chances out either, because Tom definitely proved that he had a fight as well. Label Red Devil had a great showing in Australia, I believe, but Tom was one of my favourites in the middle of the top 10 in Bahrain. It was just unfortunate. I don't know what happened on the last lap. It was the straight before the home straight, and I don't know what happened. He spun out or something must have happened, and it's a shame because he definitely had great pace, great potential, and I don't know what happened there, but he's definitely someone that I'm keeping an eye on in future. And Label, I mean, yeah, he's proved himself, and I think these boys, if anything, we can't count Haas out from the constructors fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how they fare in China and in dates to come as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting one to watch for sure. Artie, did you expect much more, much less from him this season? 8th place in this race, obviously.
Yeah, I
from pole.
I definitely expected him to be up there with the Haas boys and probably up in 5th, 6th. There was one point. I mean, I think he got the pole, so I think he definitely had some sort of a fall from grace in the race. I don't know what happened, but he's definitely got the pace. It was proven in qualifying, and I don't know what happened in the race. He just fell down to the back, from down the pack, and I hope that the qualifying in Bahrain has a say on future dates, future race weekends, and he just needs to keep the fight going in the races.
Yeah, and now we'll move on to a team I assume you quite like. Actually, you're in Mercedes now with your full.
Yeah, I'm at Mercedes now.
What was the Red Bull battle? What's that looking like in the standings? Of course, we only have the top 6 at the moment. Of course, you're happy to. Well, without the DNF, you're top 10 at least.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, personally, and I'm really off the pace, and that's evident. But I was just comfortable with claiming. I mean, I'm fairly new to league racing as a whole, let alone in RFL, and I was just comfortable. I was having a comfortable race, knowing that I was off the pace, but I was still in a fight for at least a point. And it was about when we'll get on to Cheesy in a minute, but it was about when Cheesy crashed out. That was kind of celebratory, kind of like, okay, I've definitely got my first point now. And then I just lost it in to turn 7, fast right corner, and I caught the curb, the inside curb, and that threw me off. As far as Scott goes, Scott, he's, I mean, definitely performed better than Australia. I mean, he managed to finish, so that's definitely something. Yeah, he definitely would be disappointed that he's not up there with the pack, but he's definitely going to. I think he's probably going to invest more time into strategy, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, as of right now, he's not doing great.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
All right, we're going to move on from Tier 2 and really quickly plough
Yep.
through our new segment. Well, not new segment, but newly named Ultra Accurate Predictions. There you go, because it's not. See, it's funny.
Ultra accurate predictions.
It's a joke because it's not. It's very funny. So, we've all done our predictions for this week's round. We're at China, in Shanghai, obviously. Well, China's not in Shanghai. Shanghai's in China. And, well, let's just go through. You can all explain your predictions. Lewis, you start.
Yeah, you've completely copied me in Tier 1. I love that. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, you had me third. I've got to.
Yeah. Nothing more than a bit of self-confidence. Right. So, yeah, it's not arrogance. It's purely self-confidence. That's what it is. Right.
That's what it is,
so, yeah, I've got Jolly first, Rossi in second, and I've got you in third. Pure, you've definitely been proving yourself, and I would love, I would love to see you fight for a win. But as of right now, I think the Williams boys have the advantage. Rossi, it was unfortunate in Bahrain, but I definitely think if he manages to avoid getting collided into, then he's definitely in the fight. And Jolly, I mean, he's just my favourite for the winner. I think he's definitely going to extend his lead in the championship. Do you want to talk about Tier 2?
Yeah, quickly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Drift King Pro. He's. I don't see him. I put Tom in purely because I think I wanted to take a kind of like left field prediction. I love Tom. I think he's doing great. I think he's got enough in him to fight for a podium position. I just wanted to split the Alfa Romeo boys with my prediction. And Lewis, I think, with Paraquet's gone, he was up there, and I think he could take another win. So, yeah.
All right. First of all, right. Morgs, wake up, please. Second of all,
hello.
Speaking of a bit more of a strange prediction, why have you got Vapid P3?
Why have you put yourself P3? That's the real question.
It's because I'm amazing.
Right, but anyway, basically, my thinking is I'll go through all my predictions. Rossi first. I put him first because I think after a poor round last time out, when he should have got a podium or could have got a podium at least, I think he's going to be hungry for this one, and I think he's going to be able to take the victory there. I think he'll definitely be up there, at least for a podium or challenging for one. But I have a feeling he's going to win it. I don't know why, but I have a feeling he will. Jolly up at second because he's jolly. And then Vapid up at third because I just feel like after what happened last time out, he got a podium stolen away from him, and he's got pace as well around Bahrain, so maybe he'll have pace around China. I think he's just going to be more hungry for this one than almost anybody else on the field, and I think therefore that's going to come out, and I think that's going to pay dividends, and he's going to get that P3.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Obviously the rest of
Tier
yours as well.
I've got Drift King Pro winning. I have a feeling that finally he's going to get a win ahead of his teammate. Obviously, twice now he's done the two-stopper, and neither time is going to work. And I think if he did the one-stopper in both races, I honestly think he would have beaten his teammate, but he hasn't done that yet. So I think this time he's going to do that. I reckon Joel is actually ZQ, not FCB.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
It's ZQ.
I have no clue.
It was my mistake. I told you FCB, but yeah, I think he's going to come second. I think he's going to split the Alpha Maze. He's got pace, and I think Lewis is going to come third. But then I think Perez also could get in that mix as well. Perez is going to be right up there. But I think those are the four then that I think are going to be challenging. But those are my predictions: Drift King Pro, Joel, and Lewis. 1, 2, 3.
It was really unfortunate for Joel in Bahrain. I know we've moved past the tier 2 review, but it was very unfortunate. I don't know what happened with Alfster, but
Alfster.
yeah, he completely brake checked him. I'm from what I've heard is
we've had
his
discussions
TV
in the
turned off,
stewards chat about
but yeah, really unfortunate, and we've seen in Australia that it definitely has the pace, so not a bad shout to have him in the top 3.
No, I'll quickly go through my predictions. We haven't overrun too much, so that's not too bad, but I still want to kind of rush for it. So I've put Jolly winning because, well, insanely quick. I don't know if the Kingdom's going to turn up, so I've just left him off. Flying Rossi, really quick. And which I don't know what his trying to pace is like, so to be honest, it could be. I don't know what anyone's trying to pace is like. I'm literally going off previous form, as we all are.
Yeah.
I put myself third because I know I'm going to crash now. Now I've said this, but I'm a lot more confident for this race than I was Bahrain. I'm not going to try the alternate strategy this time, which means I think I could end up in a bit more of a sort of natural position. And I'm not putting P2. You know, it hasn't gone to my head that P2. I'm still aiming low. But tier 2, I put Joel, wherever you said his actual username is now. He's just quick. All these guys are quick, to be honest. I think they do fairly well in tier 1, actually, some of these. Drift King Pro, P2. And again, you can never really predict tier 2. You never can in RFL. So I think for all of us here, this is why it tends to be quite inaccurate. And BMG Lewis, P3. I'm thinking maybe he won't have a great race. Maybe something will happen, be a bit more unlucky again, and anything could happen in RFL, and it normally does. There you go. Do you want to quickly, really quickly, do a bit of a China preview, as a track?
Yep. I think it's going to be a brilliant track. You got, it's more of a driver's track, I think, this, in terms of especially the first sector with snail type corner. Then you got the fast corners in the middle sector, quite challenging. And I think a lot of time can be gained and lost there. You also got the snail section also on towards the long straight, which is the main overtaking opportunity, and maybe only one of two, maybe 3 overtaking opportunities, which I'm thinking about something in that corner, the hairpin after the long straight, turn 1, and then the hairpin at about turn 4. Those are going to be the main overtaking zones.
Yeah, for sure. I was doing some battles earlier today, and me and Vapin managed to go side by side for about half a lap. So for sure, it's a real racing track, a bit like Bahrain. You really can. A long straight, it's going to be so vital to break DRS. And as I found out, even sometimes if you haven't broken DRS, the slipstream is still there at the end of the straight. They do close in, even if you're about 1.2 seconds ahead maybe at the start of the straight. They do still close in. So yeah, it's going to be something to really look out for. Watch out for slipstream, watch out for DRS for sure. Try to defend the inside line probably, and hope they outbreak themselves at the hairpin, really. That's one of the main things. Of course, turn 1, really fun to battle with. Someone could dart it down the inside. It's inviting, and often causes contact in the end when people take wider lines entering the corner. So watch out for a couple of spins there, maybe in tier 1 and tier 2. I reckon we're definitely going to see 1 or 2, or maybe a couple of broken front wings from squeezes. I'm really excited for this race. I think we're going to get some really good battling.
Yep, I'm as well. Lewis, to add?
Yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah.
It's gonna be good now. Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna end it all off. Unless any of you have anything you'd really like to add.
Yeah. I want to add that my driver number is 50, so that everyone in the audience on Twitter actually knows it's 50. The number's 50, not 59. Brilliant.
All right. Fair enough. Okay, right. Yeah, I think we'll end it off now. So yeah, thanks everyone for sticking with us. If you have, of course, follow us all on Twitters. If you're someone who's not in the league, not involved in any way, follow us on Twitter as the league at RFL F1 League. And if you want to if you want to join in and get interested in it, DM us. We'll be live on Twitch 7 PM for Tier 2, and Tier 1 will be at 9 PM UK time. So thank you everyone for watching. If you guys want to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Monks are just going to say no again. Yeah, there you go. And see you all next week. Goodbye.
See ya.